Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the big questions right now in the pro community is what should the third game mode be this season? We've got Hardpoint, we've got Search and Destroy. Do we bring in Control once again? Domination could return, Capture the Flag, Headquarters, Demolition. There's loads of options. The OpTic guys seem to be very keen to make sure Capture the Flag is back. They know these maps should work for CTF. It's now about the developers to actually put CTF into the game. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, just to say here from Pamaj, who was back at the Hex Quarters yesterday for the first time in a very long time, as he says. And we know that the Hex Quarters is shutting its doors soon enough. I think it might be November. Maybe it's late this month. Maybe it's start of next month that the lease on the Hex Quarters ends. And I'm guessing a lot of this stuff is going to be moved either, well, effectively their operations are going to go what they still do here to the headquarters in downtown Dallas. And we know that Formal and Dashy have been big fans of the Hex Quarters and the internet there over the last few years. There's been some issues with that at the headquarters itself, but I believe those are now resolved. So Dashy is going to have to get used to playing from a different area very shortly indeed. Couple of quick things to mention here on roster menu actually, because there are still 3 teams that need to decide something. As I said the other day, I'm pretty sure that Carolina have made some progress. I called them London the other day because I still, you know, whatever. Give me time on that one. I'm pretty sure I called Paris for a good few months after they became Vegas. So, yeah, I'll have to work around it a little bit. But still, Carolina, Royal Ravens as they are now, they brought Brian Saint on as their new head coach, and I'm pretty sure that they're getting Clay. I don't know exactly what the team is going to be around him, but look at Brian Saint and the players that he is friends with and the players that he's been with before and has, you know, had some success with. Clay back in the day, and also not even that long ago, and also Brian Saint worked with Standy on that Minnesota Rocket team, so both of those players make sense. The rest of the team I don't know. Of course, people will fill in the gaps with Attach and Nero or others, or Havoc or someone. There was some rumors that Attach might have said on stream that Clay, Attach, Havoc and Standy is not the team, but that doesn't mean that that's not very close to the actual team. There's been some talk about that, but as Clay says, lot going on outside the game. Apologies for the lack of streams. Should have a personal and team update for y'all in the coming weeks. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff going on for Clay. Hopefully all's well, but at the same time, he says that probably part of what he's discussing outside of the game right now is team related, and I think Carolina have moved on this. Well, I mean, look, they actually brought in a head coach and a general manager in Brian Saint, so they must be trying to make some moves. And I'm thinking Clay is a part of that. Vegas are going to take their sweet time as well. And I do wonder whether part of Vegas is just waiting for the CDL to say when the season begins. Because they want to sign their players as late as possible. If the season begins in, you know, start of December, they'll have to sign their players in November. But if the season begins later than that, then, you know, just wait until a week before and then sign your team, I suppose. Save you a bit more money. And to be fair, Los Angeles Grillers seem to be finding themselves in a pretty similar spot at the moment as well. So, yeah, tricky to say what those teams are going to do at all, to be honest. And let's talk about the game modes. So, Assault, we saw his SCAR or ACR class, earlier today, and they played a tournament here. I always find this so funny that there's tournaments always played on these betas. The way that they try and do it, right, because it's going to be 6 versus 6. You've got to find 6 guys on a team, and then you just queue until you get against that other team in the lobby, which is, it's a great way to do it, and it does usually work. So yesterday, Assault won a 6v6 Modern Warfare 3 Hardpoint/Dom beta chal, or like tournament type thing, with Exotic, Noisy, Bing, Chris Radial, and Fame. So yeah, as a Clay says, not this again, very really doing these tournaments to get on the beta, but look, it's a bit of good fun, and Assault takes the first and kind of dub of the season. But as we see, Hardpoint, Domination, because those are the game modes that you can play at the moment. So what are we doing instead? I don't think any pro really wants Domination back. As we saw with the Ghosts OpTic Legacy show match, Domination only works on Strike Zone. That's kind of my opinion. And even then, the issue with Domination always was that there can be 3 minutes to go and the game is over. Now, I know that is true with CTF as well. I know that's true with Uplink as well to some degree. But in Domination, it can be mathematically over. Like in Uplink, you could be 10 points down with a minute and a half to go, but it was still possible to win. But in Domination, if you're like 50 points down with a minute and a bit to go, like it's just over mathematically. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that game mode, and most maps it doesn't work well on. can't, but on Strike Zone, it does because it's circular. We talked about it. There's other game modes, though. Back in the day, Demolition used to be played. Similar to Search and Destroy, but you've got 2 bomb sites and you respawn and anyone can plant and try and destroy those bombs. That's one part. There's also Sabotage, where there's 1 bomb and kind of, I think both teams have to try and destroy it. That was a cool game mode. I played a bit of it on Black Ops 1, but haven't really played it much since then. And there's also Capture the Flag. There's also, though, Headquarters. And this is the question as to which game modes are actually going to be in the game. I think they even said that Control will be in the game at launch, and that is probably going to be the third game mode the CDL will go for, but the pros do get some decision making here. If all the pros agreed that it's going to be CTF instead, then they would probably, they would change the rule set to accommodate that. I would imagine the pros have tried to make these changes happen over the last couple of years. The OpTic guys talk about this on the Game Chat episode the other day and say that as far as they're concerned, Pred, Shotzzy definitely seem in agreement on this, as does Kenny, that CTF is the way to go.
I feel like some of these maps might play too fat, like they're too small for how fast the gameplay is gonna be.
I'm hoping they add maps with these maps because we could definitely play like a Karachi Search or what I'm saying, like
Invasion
High Rise, like an Invasion for everything. You know what I'm saying? But like I feel like if we only had these maps to work with,
it might get boring.
Yeah, it might get
because obviously everybody played them back in the day.
Yeah,
but the game modes were different. Like you played CTF and S&D.
Yeah,
and I think
Hardpoint?
No, Hardpoint came out
Headquarters.
Yeah, it was like Headquarters. I think.
So what's gonna be the third game mode? You think?
I think they're gonna add Control or
Really?
CTF. CTF, they know CTF works in these games.
I hope it is CTF too.
So they know CTF
CTF
already
is
works
so
because they
fun.
ran it back in the day. So they might just.
But playing CTF in Black
rerun
Ops
it.
2 is so fun. Like,
No, I actually like CTF.
Bro, CTF is so fun.
No, these maps work for CTF. But then again, like I said, the movement speed and everything might be different.
Yeah, nah,
Bro,
bro.
what do you think the best map's gonna be in Hardpoint?
I think Invasion, bro. That's
Terminal,
what I think,
probably.
bro.
I think Invasion is going to play well for all of them. I think Karachi will play well for Hardpoint as well because
Really?
of how you can rotate on the map. Like, think about where the spot, like, if
Honestly,
you,
like-
because, like, there's, like, the bomb site by the bus. You can have a Hardpoint there, and imagine all the way at the back right corner where, like,
Yeah, I
the,
forget.
like,
I remember playing that. But I
it's
forget
like some tables and stuff like that.
So we know that certain players have talked about this for years. I mean, TJ has tweeted about Capture the Flag every single year. I don't know what team is going to be on, if any, for the new season, but, he's talked about this every single year. We need CTF back, bring CTF back, etc., etc. And, maybe it's finally about time that it actually happens. Just to look right, these were the game modes, maybe right at launch or some leaked game modes that were in. This is Black Ops 2, of course. And these are some of the options. So Domination, I think we can safely say it's probably not the best third mode, Domination. Demolition is one that hasn't really been played in a long time. Kill Confirmed is basically just TDM with the dog tags. Hardpoint we know we're playing. Search and Destroy we know we're playing. The other two that they were here were Headquarters and Capture the Flag. Capture the Flag, everybody knows that. Simple enough. You bring their flag back to your base. That's a point. And I think that works very well. I did want to mention, though, the possibility of Headquarters, because there has been some talk about this game mode as being potentially viable for this game and maybe playing better than Control would. If you guys have never played Headquarters, it's kind of almost like a King of the Hill type thing, really. It's not dissimilar in some ways to Hardpoint, but it's designed in a different way. So you get this Headquarters box that appears in different locations around the map, kind of like how a Hardpoint moves around the map, but instead of getting in the point to control it, you have to capture the headquarter by actually having your team around it, and you build up the progress bar, and once you have captured it, then your team no longer respawns. And every like 5-10 seconds or whatever, you get like 5 points on the board. So your points rack up pretty quick, and it's on the other team who can respawn forever and ever to take you down. So 4 versus 4 situation, every player of yours that goes down in gunfights doesn't respawn once you control the headquarters, and it's about the other team limiting the damage, really, until I'm pretty sure the winning, eventually it's 250, I think, is the winning margin again. So in many ways, it's quite similar to Hardpoint, right? You're capturing something, you're getting points for how long you control it. It's a location-based mode. It goes up to 250 points. So maybe it's too similar to Hardpoint to be used. But I think if it is in the game, it's something the pros will look at and consider, because at the end of the day, there's only so many things you can do in COD. I mean, there's zones to control, or there's bomb sites to destroy, or there's balls to throw in portals, which was a cool one, or there's flags to capture. And I think that CTF, to me, is the ideal third mode in the set, or uplink, right, in a jetpack game, just because it's that little bit different. Control is like a bit of a hybrid between Search and Destroy with the lives and Hardpoint with the zone captures. I don't hate it, but I kind of prefer the idea that the third game mode is something quite substantially different, and capturing a flag or throwing a ball in a portal is, I think, preferable. Or even Blitz from Ghosts. Like, I know that Blitz was a funky game mode, but I don't know, I kind of liked it personally, that type of scoring mechanism, rather than a third game mode which is very similar to the other two and can feel kind of boring. But then again, domination, I guess, technically is different to the other two, and that's not fun to watch. Like, I used to always just turn off when we were watching that during MW19. So I think everyone will have a different perspective on this, really, as to what the better alternative is. But the pros seem pretty adamant in general that they would prefer to see Capture the Flag in the new title. And I think probably that is the way to go, just because we know these MW2 maps work for Capture the Flag. We saw it work back in the day. If the spawns are the same, and it does feel like the maps are playing at a similar size, just because, as we saw yesterday, the maps seem to have been enlarged to compensate for the faster movements, and it seems to take a similar amount of time to get around these maps now as it did back in the old school MW2 days when CTF was being played. So I don't think the maps will play much too different. The question is whether the spawns are the same, how, because that's one of the key parts of Capture the Flag. Probably the key part of Capture the Flag, really, is how the spawns work, because if you just spawn always behind the flag, it never works. You need to have spawn out locations that are specifically designed to allow a decision between overextending and going back to your own flag to try and defend it. And that's what makes CTF such a fun game mode when it's executed well, as it was in Black Ops 2, and even as it was on Ardennes Forest in World War II. Even though that map was considered pretty boring, it was technically a competitively sound map. So there's lots of, controversy on this. I'm sure some of the teams will disagree with what they would prefer to see. Some teams probably would prefer Control to still be in the game, but most pros, especially the OG pros, I'm sure the likes of Clay and Slasher, some of the guys that actually played back in the day here in MW2 originally, are probably very keen for CTF. And even with the OpTic guys and the new gen players saying that they prefer CTF, probably implies that's what should be happening here, but we'll see what happens when the new game launches. Just wanted to mention for you guys before we close out the video here that Mama Stanley's been going through some really difficult personal times over the last couple of months. I believe we saw some of it start a couple of months ago, and then we weren't really sure what was happening there. And yeah, she's put up this fundraiser as of a couple of days ago, talking about how she had this leg surgery back in May, and then she had a stroke really unfortunately after the surgery, and since then it's she's just been having a really hard time. So she was asking for some support really from the COD community, and if you guys would like to donate here and support this, I'll leave a link down below. And yeah, hopefully we can do a good job on the community on this, because it was a really sad story to read. So yeah, very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.